Hundreds of business executives and risk professionals from around the world asked us how they could use enterprise risk management, or ERM, more strategically to create value-driven performance. We listened, and so did the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Treadway Commission, also known as COSO. They engaged us to update the ERM integrated framework to address how the alignment of risk, strategy, and performance could create unprecedented opportunity for optimal business performance. Originally issued in 2004 by COSO, the framework is one of the most widely recognized and applied enterprise risk management frameworks in the world. We've created a video series that explains some of the key changes to the framework. The first video in this series highlights the reasons why the framework is being updated now. Today I'm sitting with Frank Martins and Helen Katz, two members of the core COSO project team, to talk about the framework update and really what was the call to action to update this framework. So Frank, why don't we start off with a little bit of the history of COSO.
Thanks, Dennis. So we oftentimes talk about COSO. Its full name is actually the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Treadway Commission. It was formed in the late 1980s to really assist organizations through challenges around enterprise risk management, internal control, and fraud deterrence. They provide a variety of governance and frameworks and other documents for organizations to use in applying that. There's 5 organizations that banded together to form COSO at that time as well. We're very proud of our relationship with COSO, which now spans 25 years. We were working with them in the 1980s to develop the internal control framework. The focus now is really on the 2004 ERM framework, which we worked with them on at that time, and which, again, we hope to have into the marketplace in 2017.
You know, when we sat down with the COSO board, I don't know, 2+ years ago now, we were talking about the change from 2004 enterprise risk management to now. There's a pretty significant call to action. Why don't you talk a little bit about that conversation, about some of the important things that came up in the discussion?
I think what we really heard and what we've really seen in the marketplace is that there's pace of change happening in risk, but we also saw a very significantly accelerated pace of change around risk management. Things that we talked about in 2004, which are still foundational, have really moved forward. So for instance, mobile technology we didn't have at that point. And what that's doing, for instance, is it's driving the conversation around risk and risk response, because people are looking for it earlier now. They're looking for organizations to be more agile and more adept at responding to risks earlier on than they have been in the past. So it's really important that the framework accommodate that. We also, though, recognize, because of that pace of change that's going on, that this isn't a framework that's just trying to catch up to where we are. We want it to be inspirational. We want it to live for the next 10 years. And so there's some ideas we have in the framework which maybe companies aren't yet doing, but we think they're going to move towards in the next couple of years.
You know, that's been that tricky balance, hasn't it? The difference between creating a framework that will be relevant today versus one that we think will be relevant 10 years out. But then there's also the core question of, from 2004 till now, structurally, how should we come at this and what should we change? Helen, you want to hit on a couple of those items?
Sure. So the document actually represents 2 different types of changes. One, to your point, Dennis, the structural change. The document adopts a structure that's similar to other COSO frameworks in that it uses components and principles to describe the totality of the framework. 5 components ranging from governance and culture through to execution, strategy setting, monitoring and reporting. And then 23 principles that go to the next level of detail describing those. In addition to the structural changes, we have some key takeaways that we hope are going to excite the market. Firstly, the relationship between risk and strategy. What does that mean? How do you go about it? Secondly, the relationship between risk and performance. Again, understanding that changing performance is going to drive changes to your risk. We also explore the relationship between ERM and internal control, and most importantly, we also explore the increasing role of culture and ERM.
You know, these considerations are really important because, as we talked about a long time ago with the board, you know, we were trying to figure out what is that close connection between value generation and risk management. How does it not become a distinct activity, siloed, red, yellow, green, heat map, compliance oriented? How do we move it to something that is truly an add-on to the business, to improve decision making, to improve strategy setting, to think about how it steers culture? So, great discussion, guys. Thanks, Helen. Thanks, Frank. As part of our efforts to solicit public feedback in the development of the COSO framework, please download the updated draft framework at coso.org and provide comments by September 30th. Also, Visit pwc.com/COSO-ERM to learn more about the changes to the framework and how they will impact your business. Thank you.